What kind of invincibility is there? What is the ultimate invincibility? No one in this world can always be number one, anyone can be defeated. Including me. I have been waiting for that person to appear, defeat me, tell me that my path is wrong. Unfortunately, that person has not come yet. False martial arts. Strengthen oneself, break the limits of the human body, and use flesh and blood to resist bullets. Real martial arts. Using the magnetic field of life to dominate the magnetic field of the stars, using the human body's small universe to stimulate the power of the big universe, traveling through the starry sky, and crushing the planets. Keywords of the novel. From the mortal body to the shattered planet with no pop-ups, from the mortal body to the shattered planet. Download the complete text, and read the latest chapters from the mortal body to the shattered planet. Chapter 1. Public Opinion. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 1. Public Opinion. Tianyuan Federation and Taipei Kingdom. Hanyang University in Sanglong City. On a not too dense forest clearing, Li Mu, Pin, wearing light blue short sleeves, is practicing a set of punches. The fist strength is flat, seemingly focused on nourishing the body. For a moment, a faint smile appeared on his face. Sure enough, soul fusion has brought me some special changes. I can accurately perceive the enhancement of even one cell and a strand of qi and blood in myself. Through these changes, I have developed a new training plan, which has increased the efficiency of strengthening qi and blood by 2.4 times compared to before. 2.4 times. In other words, he, who used to take a year to reach his peak, now only needs 5 months. And this is not the limit yet. Keep trying, he can still be faster. Ding-ling-ling. At this moment, a bell rang. Li Nu's fist technique paused, but it did not stop. The phone ringed non-stop. He didn't move. On the one hand, a set of punches has not yet been completed. On the other hand, he doesn't know how to respond. Anyone who has an unfamiliar mother will feel uncomfortable. The ringtone persisted. After 50 seconds, the sound stopped. In less than half a minute, the bell rang again. Escaping is never the solution to a problem. Li Ni took out her phone from her pocket and connected it. Quickly, a worried but caring voice came from inside. "Son, are you okay?" "I'm fine." Li Mu responded. That's good, Mom. Just caring about you. I won't do foolish things again." Li Mu was the first to give her a positive answer. Okay, Mom believes you. Do you still have any money to use? If not, Mom will call you again. No need, I still have it. Take it, you're alone outside and about to find a job for an internship. It will be very difficult, so you need to eat well. Well, I know. Li Mu responded. In the phone, the woman's voice nagged for several minutes before finally saying, "Your sister wants to talk to you." Quickly, a soft and sticky female voice came from inside. "Little female, I bought you a Ningxian incense. When will you come back and try it out?" Ningxian Xiang. Li Nu frowned and said, "A portion of over 10,000 yuan, where did you get the money?" "You don't have to worry, my sister has naturally accumulated some savings after working for so many years." Li Mu is speechless. Are you deceiving children? Over 100,000. It's not more than 10 yuan. You have been smart since you were young, and you are definitely qualified to step into cultivation and stand out. The female voice spoke softly to persuade. Observing the star god for 10 years, if I had the aptitude, I would have succeeded long ago and wouldn't have changed because of a concentrated fragrance. Li said, "The things have returned. I have already bought it, but I can't refund it. I'll lend it to you as my sister first. When you become a star refiner, I'm afraid you won't be able to earn a share of the condensed incense in the future. There is no one with qualifications, and I don't think I am the lucky one." Li Nu said decisively, "I should learn to accept my own ordinariness, concentrate on my fragrance, and sell it. I won't use it. Let's do it for now. After speaking, he hung up the phone. Watching her phone gradually turn black on the screen, Li and I felt a little envious. With an average salary of only 1,000, the Ningxian incense worth tens of thousands of yuan can be taken out as soon as the sister says that's great. But as an outsider, he can't bear it. Yes, outsiders. He is not the original Li female, but a young man whose soul comes from the blue star. On the blue star, his parents passed away early. He was deeply impressed by the fragility of his life and had been practicing martial arts and strengthening himself since childhood. With 10 times the sweat and blood of an ordinary person, he finally exerted his strength before his body began to decline. But he comes from an ordinary background, without the guidance of famous teachers or top-notch inheritance. Although he has achieved success in cultivation, he has also exhausted his body. Unless he can slowly regulate with qi and become a pill, his time will be limited. After 3 years of searching for a solution without success, he decided to take the pill. Result: failed to embrace the pill and lost consciousness. When I opened my eyes again, I was awakened by the lake water. He was reborn in the body of Li Ni, a junior student who jumped into the lake and committed suicide due to public pressure from the obscene goddess Anwani. There is no illness on your body, there is a mother who loves you, a sister who cares about you, and a sister who sees you as a role model. Did you jump into the lake due to public opinion pressure? Have you lost your mind? Giving up death in life is not a big deal. Li Mu looked at these fair hands and felt the vibrant vitality inside her body. 22 years old. Healthy and youthful. Represents infinite possibilities. How lucky this is. For a moment, Li Nu, who had calmed down her inner breath, looked up at this familiar and unfamiliar sky. Yes, but not in the orphanage, single parent, sister. For half a month, my mother has been trying her best to care, my sister Li Yunyan has given her all her support, and my sister Li Yunyao has been racking her brains to find reasons to invite him out to relax and accompany her, healthy, young, and quite handsome. This kind of life, but I don't know how to cherish it. He stood up and patted the grass shavings on his pants. From now on, I am Li Ni, and I believe I will do better than you. Director, here it is. A shout came from the path through the forest. Immediately after, 2 young people who had previously hidden behind a tree quickly approached a man in a suit and leather shoes and a wealthy middle-aged man. Director, he is the Li female who molested Anwani's younger sister and corrupted the school culture of Hanyang University. One of the young men pointed to Li Mu and said to the wealthy middle-aged man, staying in the same school as this kind of person makes me feel like Hanyang University has lowered its level. Is the school going to dismiss him? I'm afraid he can't be expelled, otherwise he will commit suicide again and die at school, and the school will also take responsibility. Responding to him is another young man. I was also convinced that I could come up with a way to threaten the school by jumping into the lake and committing suicide. Why didn't these people just drown? Since ancient times, good people have not lived long, and disasters have been passed down for thousands of years. This Li female is a disgusting tumor in school, and entering society is definitely a scum that harms society. The 2 of them spoke without any mercy. Alright, there's nothing to say. Can someone be said to be dead? This kind of person, just make it difficult for him to survive at Hanyang University, out of sight and out of mind. At this moment, the man in a suit and leather shoes spoke up. Li's gaze fell on several people. The man in a suit and leather shoes is called Jingyun Mountain, Vice President of the Student Union. Anwani admirer. The middle-aged and wealthy man is Wang Gang, the Director of the Academic Affairs Office. Are you spreading rumors like this without witnessing what happened with your own eyes? Especially you, the forum posts are what you asked people to post, Jing Yunshan. Aren't you afraid that things will turn around and you'll face it yourself? Li Mu looked at him calmly. Who told you that the school investigation did not come out? The authorities had originally decided to directly expel you from school, but they only opened up a situation for you due to your poor mental state and kept you on campus for further investigation. Jingyun Mountain sneered. Has the result come out? Or stay on campus for observation? It seems to be a pre-death resentment, and Li Mu has a clear memory of this period. He and Anwani are also classmates. At that time, Anwani was entangled by a wealthy young man who planned to use him as a shield to pretend to be her boyfriend. Afraid of causing trouble, he didn't hesitate to refuse. He doesn't know what happened afterwards. But the next day, the news of his molestation of Anwani caused a storm in the whole school, and everyone in his original body shouted and beat him. In the end, he couldn't bear the pressure of public opinion and jumped into the lake to die. Is the school punishing him for staying on campus for probation, which confirms his charge of molesting Anwani? Is this the final survey result of the school? Li Nu looked at the middle-aged and wealthy man. Li Mu, have you ever thought about how much negative impact it would have on the school due to the fact that you have caused such a large amount of public opinion? Wang Gang does not slow down the road. Public opinion is about people spreading rumors and stirring up trouble behind the scenes. You should deal with those people. The most important thing now is to solve the problem. So, your solution to the problem is to deal with me. Leaving aside the facts, can you guarantee that you are not at all at fault in this matter? If you had apologized to Anwani at that time, how could the situation have escalated to this extent? Apologize. Li Mu also wants to say that he was not at fault. Why apologize? But the other party has already set aside the facts and there is nothing more to say. Li Mu, you have to be grateful that you jumped into the lake. Otherwise, it wouldn't be as simple as staying on campus for observation and punishment. Jing Yunshan sneered and said, but it doesn't matter. Once this rumor is over, you won't be able to stay at Hanyang University for even one more day. With your school board member grandfather. Li Nudao. Jing Yunshan raised his lips and felt quite proud of his identity, saying, "Ah, young man, I'm here to teach you in advance what social reality is." Li Mu did not argue with him anymore, but turned her gaze to Wang Gang. Remember to prepare a 3,000-word review letter and accept the criticism. Wang Gang said with a serious expression. The above requires the prompt resolution of Li Mu's desecration of Anwani. Take the milder of the two harms. Compared to Anwani, who is bound to shine brightly in the future, dealing with the ordinary and unremarkable Li Mu is the best choice to calm the storm. A review letter. Li Nian sneered and said, "Are you brainwashed? Are you all openly targeting me and asking me to write a self-criticism in a low voice? What attitude are you?" Wang Gang's eyes widened. Not happy. You fired me. After Li Mu finished speaking, she was too lazy to talk nonsense and turned around to leave. You. Wang Gang's face immediately turned red. He is the head of the Academic Affairs Office, a social elite with an annual salary of 100,000 yuan, who was actually humiliated by a poor student who did not step out of the school gate. But now he's fired. If he can't figure out how to jump into the lake and die at school again, the responsibility will be heavy. He won't be proud for long. When the wind blows, he'll find a reason to get fired directly. He's in his third year and won't have enough time to study anymore. He doesn't even have a college graduation certificate, and he's destined to only be at the bottom of society, a laborer. Jingyun Mountain had a contemptuous expression on his face. What kind of identity does he have? He doesn't even casually manipulate an ordinary student who is powerless and powerless. On the way back to the dormitory, there were occasional people pointing at Li Mu. And Yuran, the sister of Anwani, is a hot star of Star Palace Entertainment Company. Although Anwani has not yet made a debut, she is also highly popular at Hanyang University. A talented woman sets up. Combining wisdom and beauty. The incident of Li Mu's desecration of Anwani has been going viral in the past 2 weeks. When the punishment from the school is announced, he will find it difficult to turn over again. Under the guidance of 1,000 men, he died without illness. People with weak willpower may not be able to resist public opinion violence. As an ordinary person, I won't be able to make any waves. Li walked quickly to the dormitory. In theory, this is indeed the case. Ordinary people, when faced with the influence of a university's network, will only be easily exposed to the dust and find it difficult to resist. Li Mu is an ordinary person. But he is not. End of this chapter. Chapter 2. Changfeng. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 2. Changfeng, a warrior. The world of martial arts is flourishing. Li Mu remembers a survey report on the future career planning of middle school students. All high school students in Taibai aspire to become star refiners and advance to the extraordinary realm. But this profession is all about qualifications and has nothing to do with the vast majority of people. Not counted. Leaving aside the star refiner, the most desirable profession for ordinary people is debut and become a celebrity. This is not suitable. Putting aside star refiners and celebrities who require capital support, civil servants rank third. The Taibai civil servant system is basically a semi-hereditary system, and self-study exams are too difficult. Also excluded. In addition to the 3 major professions mentioned above, the top-ranked one is the warrior. Teachers, doctors, lawyers, and so on all have to stand back. It can be seen that martial artists are still very popular. As an aid and supplement to star refiners, the martial arts world, although still at the pinnacle of cultivation, is still a mortal body that cannot withstand machine gun shells. However, the social status that any martial saint standing at the peak can enjoy is not inferior to that of an ordinary star refiner. Li Mu has been learning about this world for half a month now. For warriors like him who pursue the limits of human body, this is the best era. Wudao Dechang. On the Blue Star, there are almost extinct masters of holding pills emerging one after another. Similarly, this is also the worst era. The existence of star refiners is like an insurmountable mountain, making it difficult for warriors to stand on the top of the world. For me, being able to live a new life is the greatest luck. In my past life, I have been stagnant until death. In this life, let me see how far I can go. Li Mu's spirit is high. Not influenced by Jing Yunshan, Wang Gang, Anwani, and others at all. He came to the dormitory, intending to pack his things and take a leave of absence from school. Is old Li here? In the dormitory, roommate Fang Yubai seemed to be waiting for him. As a private university, the environment is relatively good, with 4-person dormitories. Among Li Mu's 3 roommates, 2 of them have an average relationship with him, except for Fang Yubai, who is enthusiastic and has a good relationship with him. No. He has a good relationship with the 3 people in the dormitory. He is handsome, good at socializing, and comes from a wealthy family, so he is considered a rising star at Hanyang University. At this moment, he handed a document to him. Take a look. Changfeng Martial Arts School Flyer. Li Mu glanced at him. Lao Li, I know your personality. I believe you absolutely did not molest Anwani, but you can't resist her numerous flower protection envoys, as well as those from the martial arts school. In case anyone loses their rationality and hits you. After practicing martial arts, not only do you want to win, but as long as you run faster, your safety will be guaranteed. Fang Yubai said, my 4th uncle Fang Lingjue's newly opened martial arts school is recruiting people. I have asked you for a discounted price of only 3,000 yuan per month. It seemed that he was afraid that Li Mu would think the price was expensive, so he hurriedly said, he is a martial artist with a deputy senior professional title, 3,001 months, definitely not much. Deputy senior professional title. Li Mu's eyes lit up and she said, embrace the pill. Yes, certified by the Taibai Martial Arts Association. Fong Yubai said. The prosperity of martial arts in this world is not just empty talk. Warriors have clear professional qualification certification. Divide into 5 levels. Junior, assistant, intermediate, deputy senior, and senior. Going further up is the martial saint, who is evaluated every 2 years by the Martial Arts Association. Among them, the deputy senior corresponds to the martial arts master who has developed Dan power. Dan Jin, in ancient times, was always a person of the rank of commanding general. Moreover, the state-level martial arts association can also find connections, authenticate first, and then hold the pill. The Taibai Martial Arts Association can tolerate no fraud at all. How about it? Are you going or not? Go. Li Mu responded without hesitation. The previous master of holding pills has almost disappeared. Hua Jin is already the pinnacle of martial arts. He has neither guidance from renowned teachers nor communication with peers, relying entirely on his own hard work. How fast is it to just adapt to the identity of Li Mu, and be able to contact Master Bao Dan? Let's go then. Fong Yubai said and took him straight to the school parking lot. He comes from a good family, and during his college years, his parents bought him a Blue Horse X5. This car is priced at over 200,000 yuan, which is equivalent to the income of many adults for 10 years. Li Nu has a very indifferent view of the concept of money, but she knows that he is poor in literature and rich in martial arts. If there is enough funds to purchase medication for nourishment, the time for him to recover his peak energy can be shortened again. Fong Yubai drove and quickly left the school, merging into the street traffic. Taibai has a total area of 6 million square kilometers and has benefited from 60 years of peaceful development after the World War. It is one of the few developed countries in the world, with a population of up to 34 million. However, due to the fact that most of the area belongs to barren mountains and ridges, with crises everywhere, the population is mainly concentrated in the southern region, with less than 1 million square kilometers of territory. Like Canglong City, which is not considered a core key city, it also has a population of up to 3 million, with the urban population approaching 2 million. The traffic on the road is constantly flowing, and a red light can block for 3 to 5 minutes. While waiting for a red light, Fong Yubai couldn't help but glance at Li Mu and said, "I feel like you are a bit different." After speaking, he added, "I had this feeling half a month ago. There is a great terror between life and death, and there will always be some changes in life and death." Li Mu smiled and said, "He is a martial artist with peak energy, and after half a month of restorative training, his words, actions, and mental state will naturally differ. Yes, some people can still comprehend the Tao at once. It seems like I don't need to advise you anymore." Fong Yubai responded with a smile. Accepted this statement. He is willing to warmly take Li Mu to find fourth uncle, and the relationship is good. The most important thing is that he feels the changes in his body over the past half-month. Build a good relationship. Half an hour later, the Blue Horse X5 drove into the underground parking lot of an office building. Park the car, press the elevator, and head straight to the 6th floor. The catching place is the signature of Changfeng Martial Arts School. There is also a couplet hanging next to it. Long winds and waves sometimes break through, hanging straight on a cloud sail to the vast sea. Banner. Heaven rewards diligence. As Li Mu looked at the storefront of the Changfeng Martial Arts School, a tall and slender woman in a skirt greeted her and said, "Hello, welcome to practice martial arts and fitness. Do we have a new seasonal package to learn about?" At this moment, another charming woman quickly followed and said, "Mr. Fong is here." After finishing speaking, he greeted the woman and said, "This is Fong Xiao. You should go and help yourself first." "Manager Su, where's my uncle?" "In the quiet room, I'll take you over." The woman known as Manager Su led the two of them around the screen and through the training equipment room. The Changfeng martial arts school is not small in size, with brand new and complete equipment, and carries a newly renovated smell, but it is very light. At this moment, there are several people exercising inside. Not far away, there is someone trying their hand on a combat platform that covers over 100 square meters. Li Mu carefully measured it. Does it seem like both of them are working hard? It has to be said that the martial arts of this world are indeed thriving. Outside the quiet room, Manager Su knocked on the door and waited until the word "enter" came from inside before pushing the door in. Inside, a burly man, even while sitting, was politely flipping through a document. Li Mu can clearly distinguish the explosive force contained in the muscles that support his shirt. And his height is probably not less than 1.9 meters. Such a powerful person did not bring any oppression or threat to him. This sure enough, it's holding pills. The true embrace of Dan. Embrace Qi to form a pill, creating a harmonious and integrated environment. Xiao Bai is here. Fong Lingjue looked up. Uncle, can you stop calling me Xiao Bai and behave like a pet dog? Fong Yubai looked helpless. Before he could finish speaking, he saw that Fong Lingjue's gaze had already fallen on Li Mu. Li Mu has not yet embraced the elixir and is unable to contain all her essence. Just standing alone has a sense of pride. Ordinary people only think that this young man is energetic when they see him, but in the eyes of Fong Lingjue, a master of holding pills, Xiao Bai, when did you meet such a young and skilled practitioner? Exercise strength. Fong Yubai was taken aback for a moment, then suddenly opened her round eyes and looked at Li Mu beside her, her voice full of surprise. You have developed your strength. Li Mu nodded. 1,000 coins cannot be bought with a single sound. Practicing strength means being clear and strong, and punching with wind and thunder. Ordinary people need to develop their strength. It takes 10 to 8 years to practice the 3 nines in winter and the 3 fu in summer. It's not surprising to be a little lazy and still hover around the threshold of strength training for most of their lives. Practicing strength requires understanding. Although martial arts are flourishing in this world, it is normal to waste 3 to 5 years in this step without the guidance of a famous teacher. You promise to work together after graduation and become a social animal of your time. How could you quietly develop your strength and become a martial artist? Fong Yubai is very depressed. Li Mu gave him a silent glance. Are you still working? Social livestock. Are you not inheriting billions of assets from your family? That's my dad's, what does it have to do with me? Fong Yubai said as she glanced at her fourth uncle and said, I'm planning to have you practice martial arts with him. Now, let's work hard and get a martial arts qualification certificate. You can become a coach directly. How long have you been practicing martial arts? Fong Lingjue took the tea that Manager Su had brought for him, Li Mu, and Fong Yubai, and inquired. I've been practicing for a long time now. I was under a lot of pressure in college and stopped off and on for a while. Recently, I just picked it up. Li Nudao. At the same time, he also took the tea brought by Manager Su and said thank you. Recently. Half a month ago. Fong Yubai quickly thought of something. Li Nu nodded. Fong Ling's heart was completely moved. Stopped intermittently for so long, picked it up in half a month. You should know that there has been a saying in the martial arts circle since ancient times that before holding the pill, 1 day without practicing, 1 day without practicing, 1 day without practicing, 1 day without losing half, and 3 days without practicing as an outsider. Li Mu regained her strength in half a month, not bad talent. Can I find someone to help you? Fong Lingjue Dao. Okay. Coral. Fong Ling absolutely called out. Quickly, a woman wearing a shapewear and a ponytail, who looked sunny and healthy, walked in. Master, do you call me? Come on, you and. Fong Lingjue paused. Li Mu. Li Mu said calmly. Every warrior has their own pride. If it weren't for him practicing his strength, even if Fang Yubai had introduced him, this Dan-hugging master might not have remembered his name. Okay, Li Mu, practice your hands. End of this chapter. Chapter 3. Qi and Blood. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 3. Qi and Blood. There are very few people in Changfeng Martial Arts School. Apart from a few staff members, there are 6 trained and 3 practicing martial arts. The area of 3,000 square meters has a total of more than 10 people, which appears somewhat desolate. Of course, this may be due to just opening. The coral on the side seemed to see what Li Nu was thinking and raised her eyebrows slightly. Since my master became a pill with Qi, many of his business friends and relatives have wanted to send their children to him to practice martial arts. Many of them have extraordinary identities, and it's difficult for the master to refuse. So, he opened this Changfeng Martial Arts School. She added, the significance of the existence of the Changfeng Martial Arts School is, on the one hand, to provide a unified place for those people to practice martial arts. On the other hand, when friends of the master come and want to have a sparring experience, there is also a venue. The opening of the school's followers is optional, and they are selected based on their strengths. Fang Yubai felt a bit awkward listening. I always feel like there's something in choral talk. Are these coaches? Li Nudao. Yes. Coral nodded and said, my 2 senior brothers, Su Huan and Zhang Lu, both have martial arts qualification certificates. In addition to practicing martial arts, they also serve as part-time coaches. In addition, there are 5 hired martial arts practitioners, among which Yang Danqing and Yang Wusher have a level 3 professional qualification certificate and an intermediate professional title certified by the association. There are many talented people. Li Mu let out a heartfelt admiration. During his heyday in his past life, he came to this world and could only obtain an intermediate professional title. He increasingly anticipated how charming the martial arts scenery of this world would be. Coral arrived at a dark green rubber roll field and stood there. Looking at Li Nu, he reached out and teased, come on. A height of 1.73 meters is not inferior to that of a man, with a heroic demeanor. Li Mu wants to see Master Dan Jin's Dan Jin, but she is not a relative. Why is the other person showing you? Unless you are qualified to invest in value. At present, with all his strength under his feet, even though he only took 1 step, he managed to sweep over 2 meters. Without any assistance, without moving the upper body, Fang Lingjue, who had never spoken, was slightly surprised by the fact that he could sweep out 2.3 meters with just 1 foot of force. Not bad, he commented on it. Seeing someone competing in martial arts, other idol coaches also gathered around to watch the excitement. Please. Li Mu made a stroke with her empty hand. Please. The coral made a sound and raised its hand to clap. There is no hint of humility that the host should have. Li Mu witnessed and experienced the difference between the martial arts of this world and his understanding of martial arts. Coral is 1 or 2 years younger than him, but he excels in all aspects of boxing, body movements, and handling. It's just less fierce. Almost as the thought came to his mind, the 2 of them completed a sudden burst of intertwined coral. With the same strength under his feet, his body was as agile as an ape and rushed up. In one movement, the toes, calves, thighs, waist, and shoulders were kneaded into a line with 5 points of strength, and over 90% of the body's strength was mobilized, all of which were concentrated in one thrust. The bystander Fang Yubai had not yet seen clearly. She had crossed a distance of 4 meters between the 2, turned her fingers into palms, and aimed them at Li Mu's chest, slapping them away. Pop! Li Mu glanced at her shoulder as she exerted her strength. As she pounced, she leaned aside and with her right hand, she accurately clasped her wrist. Just as he was about to exert force on his arm to throw it away, Coral's wrist trembled and he managed to break free from Li's hand. She followed the inertia of her killing as she was about to cross with Li Mu. With a twist in her waist, she suddenly threw herself, and her slender right leg turned 180 degrees, rising high like a sweeping battle axe, aimed at his head and swung it down. The strength of the legs is much stronger than that of the arms. Especially during the previous encounter, Li Mu keenly realized the power of his body. It seems inferior to Coral. Not as good as a woman. Therefore, facing her leg that fell like a battle axe, Li Mu did not retreat but instead advanced. My feet are full of strength. Unbelievable body shape. As the explosive power of the Coral strike was about to reach its peak, she leaned forward fiercely, with her shoulder pressing against her thigh first, and her right hand rushing forward along her body with a sudden push. Even if the strength was not released, the body of over 60 kilograms of Coral was still pushed out 3 or 4 meters by Li Mu. However, the Coral that flew out did not fall to the ground. Instead, it twisted its body and made a somersault in the air, resolving the thrust. After landing with its right foot, it took 3 consecutive steps to release the force and stabilize its body again. Please accept. Li Mu said calmly. It's not over yet, come back. Coral is not willing to give up, so she will come forward again. All right. At this moment, Fang Lingjue spoke up and stopped Coral from being impulsive, saying, You're just trying to give Li Mu a try, so I have a clear idea of his strength. It's not just about scoring points to determine the outcome. After speaking, he looked at Li Mu with a scrutinizing expression in his eyes and said, Have you ever fought in real combat? Graduating from junior high school, boasting of having achieved success in his studies, boasting of his bold and daring skills, having ventured into deep mountains and fought against lone wolves. Li Nudao. Fang Lingjue listened and smiled, not knowing if he believed it or not. He didn't ask in detail, but said, It seems like you've been practicing for a long time. Otherwise, with your strength and skills, your physique wouldn't be so ordinary. Li Nu nodded. This body has only been trained for half a month. Now, it's slightly better than the average person. Come, measure your body, soul, qi, and blood. Fang Lingjue said as he threw an instrument resembling a watch over his body. The foundation of martial arts lies in his physical and mental health. No matter how deep his understanding and application of strength is, it is not as crushing as his physical and mental health. Why can't even Master Gang Jin defeat a star refiner who has not yet mastered strength? Even Holy Martial Saint Shen Jin dare not compete head-on with a newly introduced star refiner. It is because the opponent's qi and blood can easily break through 100 and cannot be defeated. Qi and blood detector. Li Mu looked at this watch-like instrument. This world is thriving in martial arts, and related industries and products are also emerging endlessly. When this instrument is worn, it can detect the strength of one's own body when it unleashes the most powerful fist and body techniques that can stimulate the body's qi and blood. A must-have for martial artists. According to the production of different companies, the cheapest ones all cost millions. It's enough to buy 2 houses in Sanglong City. He put on this instrument, but did not use his boxing skills. But take a deep breath. As he inhaled, his internal organs seemed to tremble slightly, emitting a low frequency sound wave that was almost imperceptible to human ears. This scene immediately made Fang Lingjue unable to help but show surprise. Tiger and leopard thunder. The strength has changed from light to dark. Coral, who was not satisfied on the side, was also slightly surprised, and the unwillingness in her eyes slightly calmed down. Decades later, Li Mu stopped resonating with her internal organs. The instrument numbers fluctuated for a while before finally staying at 16. The fluctuation value of Xinhui Company's qi and blood detector is only 1.3 points. It seems that you have really been abandoned for too long. Otherwise, with your strength changing from light to dark, you wouldn't have achieved this number. Fang Lingjue Dao. Li Mu has understood the strength and weakness of qi and blood in this world. The average popularity and stamina range from 10 to 20. Practitioners of martial arts can reach 20 to 30 points, and those master and master level characters who hold chi and become pills, or even exhale chi and become gang, often exceed 30 points. As for those above 40, they all refer to those with exceptional talents. The highest record that a warrior can reach is 49 points, measured by a master named Zhongwang Chaodan Jin, who is 2.3 meters tall and naturally possesses divine power. Although he is a master of Danjin, he is reliable in his powerful chi, blood, and physique, and even a martial saint may be killed by him. I'm really rusty. Li Mu returned the testing instrument. Just now, you heard what Coral said. I founded the Changfeng martial arts school to deal with relatives and friends stuffing people into my area. As for the students, I won't interfere. Fang Lingjue bluntly said, I have the intention to charge forward on the path of cultivation, experience some vigorous energy, and even the scenery of divine and martial arts saints. I don't have much time to teach my disciples, and you're not a beginner. With your understanding and application of strength, I'm afraid Yang Danqing won't be able to teach you anything. It's not difficult to just complete qi and blood, and step into dark energy. Fang Yubai beside her opened her mouth and wanted to say something, but it was really difficult to be generous with others, so she had to remain silent. However, although I don't have time to teach my disciples, I occasionally come to the Changfeng martial arts school to sit down and communicate with everyone. Therefore, I have a suggestion for you to listen to. Please speak. I would like to hire you as the coach of our Changfeng martial arts school, with a monthly salary of 6,000 yuan, including meals and accommodation. When will your assistant martial arts qualification certificate be issued? I will give you an additional 10,000 yuan. Fang Lingjue said, there won't be too many people in the Changfeng martial arts school. I estimate that most of those who are forced to learn martial arts by their elders will leave in a year and a half, and their work won't be very busy. Also, if you have any questions about Hua Jin and Dan Jin, you can ask me, and I will do my best to answer them for you. How about that? 6,000. Tai Bai's current currency is quite valuable. 6,000 is equivalent to 18,000 on a blue star. This salary belongs to the basic level of martial arts practitioners. Adding the opportunity to seek advice from a master of Danjin would make the nature different. Li Mu is already in her third year of college and doesn't plan to waste any more time at Hanyang University. Just now, she exposed her tiger and leopard thunder sound technique, which has inspired her to apply for a job. Fang Lingjue should have noticed it before taking the initiative to raise it. Okay. Li Nu nodded sharply and said, next, please trouble the owner of the Fang Pavilion. When you replenish your qi and blood, and then turn your strength from light to dark, based on your age, it will be a living sign of our Changfeng martial arts school. Fang Lingjue smiled and reached out his hand, welcome to join. End of this chapter. Chapter 4. Star Gods. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 4. Star Gods. The Changfeng Martial Arts School is able to rent a nearly 3,000 square meter office building in the urban area, indicating its considerable financial resources. They also rented a room at Yunqing apartment across from the office building. Li Mu moved in on the same day. A single room of 56 square meters. Tai Bai does not have a shared area. Even if we include the 20 square meter quiet room specifically designed for warriors, this apartment is also considered spacious for single occupancy. After a busy afternoon and completing the move, Li Mu invited Fang Yubai and the unfamiliar Coral to have a meal, and even officially joined the Changfeng Martial Arts School. Night. Li Mu returned to the apartment and settled down. Having a completely personal space is a new beginning. He came to the quiet room covered in thick rubber pads and reminisced about his martial arts practice. Without the guidance of a famous teacher back then, he collected the best martial arts skills from 100 schools, or rather, by piecing things together, we have also created our own practice and play style. The gameplay is 8 fierce true fire power. The practice method is the gate of the mysterious female. The highest ability is to hold qi and become a pill. Of course, he failed to become a pill with his qi, and it remains to be verified whether the door of the mysterious woman can reach this point. Ming power, dark power, hua power, dan power, and gang power all refer to the use of power. Although I haven't formed a pill with qi, I can use the door of the mysterious female to embrace yin and charge yang. I can imagine the 8 evil forces igniting my heart fire, but I can still use dan power. Li Mu is very clear about this. But it doesn't mean anything to him now. Without holding qi to form a pill, the strength has never been mixed into one. It relies solely on the burst of qi and blood to unleash the 8 evil true fire power similar to dan power, which is equivalent to overloading exercise. During his heyday, he would suffer from a loss of qi and blood, causing injuries to his muscles and bones if he played once or twice. Back in the day, he competed with a martial artist who transformed energy. After the opponent was defeated, he held a grudge and invited experts to surround and kill him. He once unleashed 3 layers of dan power in a row. Although he broke through the encirclement, it damaged his foundation and laid a hidden danger for the later failure of using energy to form dan. The dan power is so strong, and the gang power is even more dangerous. Vigorous energy requires resonance from the 5 organs and 6 viscera. If the lungs are not strong enough and the vigorous energy is not able to be exerted in time, one will first bleed internally and suffer serious injuries. Those who are severe will die on the spot. Physical fitness is fundamental. Only when physical fitness is combined with explosive strength and skills are combined can a warrior truly demonstrate their strength. Li Mu calmed down, adjusted her breathing, operated the door of the mysterious female, supplemented by the tiger and leopard thunder sound technique, constantly trembling her body, seemingly causing every cell to move. This process is familiar and not difficult for him. After a full half-hour, Li Mu completed a round of cultivation. Although she had not exercised vigorously, her whole body was soaked with sweat. For a moment, he adjusted his breath and then focused, slowly immersing himself in his perception of himself. Soul fusion seems to have produced some kind of talent, making his perception of himself incredibly precise. In just a few minutes, he came to the conclusion that this practice has improved his physical strength. If the physical strength, qi, and blood strength given by the Martial Arts Association are used as measurement units, Li Wui converted, this round of exercise has increased my qi and blood from the previous 16.113 to 16.127, an increase of 0.014, strictly speaking, 0.01466. As long as he wants, he can accurately control the 10s, 30s, and even hundreds after the decimal point. This kind of accuracy, even if it's not his first attempt, his mood still fluctuates. Science cannot explain this phenomenon at all. But what is unscientific about time travel? Based on my current nutritional intake, I can conduct 6 rounds of training per day, and the final increase in qi and blood is 0.08796. Taking 3 decimal places and rounding to 0.088, 1 month is 2.64 points. In 5 months, his qi and blood intensity will reach 29.328. Facing the peak of the transformation energy, which is the threshold for holding qi to become a pill. However, in theory, I have been continuously improving for the past half-month. The daily increase in qi and blood of the Xuanmu gate has increased from 0.035 to 0.088. Although the improvement efficiency is a bit slow now, it is not difficult to reach 0.1 in the end. If supplemented with some martial arts herbs and increased cultivation times, it may reach 0.15 in a day. In the next 2 months, you can try to hold pills. Without guidance from a renowned teacher. Top inheritance. His own physical feedback is the best teacher. Next, Li Mu did not engage in the second round of cultivation. He took a shower, changed his clothes, opened the computer he had moved from the dormitory, and logged on to Taibai's most popular martial arts website. As soon as you go to the website, a window pops up immediately. Taibai plans to launch a campaign against the fierce beasts and monsters in the Death Valley, recruiting warriors to conduct in-depth investigations. Gaia Star has an area of over 2 billion square kilometers, but 2/3 of it is a wilderness inhabited by ferocious beasts and monsters. The source of all this star god. A great high-dimensional life that cannot be described in countless words. His radiance fills the entire solar system. 93 years ago, some qualified individuals saw this great and vast existence through visualization, and fear, chaos, madness, and despair quickly spread. Order collapses. Countless wars broke out because of him. 3 years later, the war also came to an end due to him. The sudden failure rate of war weapons that humans are proud of is increasing. Gunpowder failure, cannon explosion, warship anchoring, instrument malfunction. Because atoms bathe in starlight and give birth to will, getting close to the stars and gods. When some weapons and instruments carry hostile attacks on the star refiners who rely on the contemplative star god to bathe in starlight, atoms resist, malfunctions occur frequently, and the user themselves are often the first to destroy them. The war was forced to come to an end. From then on, the era of stars and gods came. And those who bathe in starlight are not just humans. Beasts, plants, birds and beasts, all Gaia's life is soaked in rain and dew. The human life circle shrank and shrank again. The world has been turbulent for 20 years. It was not until 70 years ago that the first group of star refiners stepped onto the world stage, leading armies from various countries to fight against fierce beasts and monsters, that the current pattern was formed. The Tianyuan Federation is a product of the alliance of various countries during the turbulent 30 years. Together with the Shang Empire, Star Alliance, Riao, and 36 countries in the East China Sea, it is known as the Six Poles of the World. Li Mu glanced at the conditions offered for recruiting warriors. According to strength, the daily salary can range from tens of thousands to millions. There is a special discovery that bonuses are even more generous depending on their value, with a maximum of billions. But he glanced and then averted his gaze. The demon and the star refiner both originate from the same source. Approaching them will generate an induction, so the warrior has to investigate, but this is a job that takes one's life. Li Mu closed the pop-up window and went to the page to search for videos of a few Dan Gene Masters and Gang Gene Masters taking action. Actually, there is no need to search. Every video of Dan Gene Master and Gang Gene Master has extremely high popularity, easily starting with millions of clicks. He searched based on the number of clicks and found that the quality of the videos he saw, except for some sand sculptures, was basically not much worse. Some of the videos even tell about some of his experiences with Dan energy and Gang energy that he couldn't achieve on Blue Star. Although it mainly focuses on drainage and does not form a system, it is still better than on the Blue Star, where he cannot even find a living master of Gang Gene. It's really a prosperous era of martial arts. Li Mu sincerely praised. He scanned for a moment, and soon saw a video of detailed explanation of holding pills. The publisher has a series of certifications. Vice Senior Professional Certification of Jiangzhou Martial Arts Association, Vice President of Yingguang Martial Arts Association, Head of Iron Sword Martial Arts School, legitimate descendant of the Divine Ape 13 Swords, and Senior Martial Arts Master Luo. Professional certification from state-level martial arts associations. State-level vocational certification has always been flawed. Deputy Senior Professional title, able to unleash Dan power is sufficient. As he clicked into it, he realized that the other person was truly a talented Dan Gene Master. After only watching for a minute, the video came to an abrupt end. Paid video. Li Mu paused. The price for a half-hour video is not high, it's just 10 yuan. He registered an account ID after thinking about it, input the 4 words, 100,000 star years. Then proceed with paid viewing. The video content made Li Mu a little happy. Although Master Luo talked about relatively simple things, it was of great help to him in improving the alchemy realm of the mysterious female gate. Shortcomings, he can try bit by bit. I have become narrow-minded. Now, I don't necessarily have to confront Master Dan Jin to understand how to embrace Dan with qi and blood. Li watched it for a while and then continued to watch some videos of using Dan power. These videos ultimately point to the recruitment of martial arts school disciples, claiming that only hands-on teaching can help people quickly enter the martial arts world. After registration and payment, the owner of the other party can appear once a month, which is considered kind and honest. In the following time, Li Mu's life clearly became more regular. Go to Changfeng martial arts school to practice martial arts in the morning. From time to time, Coral would come and try to trick him. In the afternoon, I will take some time to teach a few wealthy children who drive ducks to practice martial arts. Although the social environment in Taibai is relatively stable and has not experienced war for 60 years, the crisis has not disappeared, especially for the older generation who have experienced turbulent times and lack a sense of security. Without sufficient qualifications, they can only focus on martial arts. If you can't do it yourself, supervise your younger generation. A few wealthy children, although they always have a worried expression when practicing martial arts, dare not come. Li Nu taught them, which can also be considered as reviewing the old and learning the new. After teaching his disciple, he practiced and watched videos at night. Li Ni, who relies solely on her own hard work and has not had any contact with several Dan Jin masters, only browsed videos on Blue Star and constantly gained insights. By watching others use Dan power and combining it with his own 8 evil true fire power to improve, he has become more proficient in the operation of Dan power. One morning a month later. Changfeng Martial Arts School. When all the coaches are not at work. Bang! Accompanied by a roar. Li Mu, whose physical condition had not yet fully recovered, made her first strike in this world that matched the explosive power of Dan. The new book has been released, please collect and recommend it. End of this chapter. Chapter 5. Reputation. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 5. Reputation. Dan Jin. Li Nu looked at the violently shaking special sandbag and shook her arm. He concentrated his energy on his arms, and in just 1 minute, he had already gained insight into their condition. Soft tissue injury, slight cracking of muscles and tendons, and some damage to nerves and blood vessels. In terms of specific induction, the damage is concentrated between the flexor brevis, abductor brevis, and palm muscles, while the nerves and blood vessels are located on the median nerve, the recurrent branch of the median nerve, the deep branch of the ulnar nerve, the radial artery, and the ulnar artery. However, these injuries are all within the normal range. After a month, his qi and blood climbed to 21.014, equivalent to Coral. It is impossible for this kind of physical energy and blood to exert Dan power without any cost. We need to practice it together with health preservation methods. After realizing that she had damaged her foundation, Li Mu in her previous life intentionally searched for cultivation techniques to regulate her. Among them, he spent the most energy on the 5 animal play. But since there is a talent for insight in this life, it needs to be changed. The most suitable, the innate breathing and qi nourishing technique of Taoism. In his past life, this was his only adventure. When his martial arts were transformed into seeking the pill of embracing, he went to Lingyun Mountain to visit a master and met a Taoist true cultivator. Although the other party is not a martial arts master, they are over 96 years old, but still have no illness, no pain, and a strong body. He saw that he had limited time and taught him the technique of innate breathing and nourishing qi. This is a method of nourishing qi that can reverse innate instincts and tap into the vitality of the human body. It has a significant effect in regulating and nourishing the body from hidden injuries. Unfortunately, at that time he had limited time and was restless and unable to meditate. He never entered the realm of cultivation until his death. Let's start over now and give it a try. At present, he performs breathing according to the method of innate qi nourishment. The Changfeng martial arts school has fewer people in the morning. It wasn't until after 9 o'clock that people came one after another. But none of them were students led by Li Mu. He completed his innate qi nourishing technique and continued to practice the door of the mysterious female. Near noon, Li's phone rang. After connecting, Fang Yubai's voice came quickly. Lao Li, Chef Wang downstairs, let's have a meal together. Okay. Li Mu did not refuse. He had already had a conversation with Fang Yubai earlier, and they also introduced Fang Lingjue, which has improved their relationship a lot over the past month. He immediately went downstairs and headed straight for Chef Wang's restaurant in the shopping mall downstairs. When he arrived, he realized that Fang Yubai had already been waiting with two beautiful and exquisitely dressed girls. Lao Li. Fang Yubai greeted and introduced, my girlfriend Meng Lingbing, her friend, Zhang Yunxi. Hello. Li Mu took the initiative to say hello. Is he? Li Mu. Meng Lingbing seemed to recognize Li Mu and exclaimed in surprise. Yes. Fang Yubai spoke and warned her, don't listen to the school's gossip. Oh. Meng Ling nodded, but her expression was slightly unnatural. But the woman next to her, Zhang Yunxi, frowned and immediately stood up. Bing Bing, didn't we still schedule Lele? She's also here, should we go pick her up? Meng Lingbing quickly understood what she meant, hesitated for a moment, and said, you go first, I'll wait for you here. Really not going? Lele will not be happy. You go ahead. Meng Lingbing said and secretly glanced at Fang Yubai. That's okay. Zhang Yunxi said, without greeting Fang Yubai and Li Ni again, and left directly. This result made Fang Yubai a bit embarrassed, but he quickly returned to his usual expression and said, if Yunxi has something to do, let her go first. Let's eat first. Can I go upstairs and get something? Li Nudao. He plans to leave. It's not too late to take it after finishing. Fang Yubai understood his meaning and waved his hand directly, what do you want to eat? I'll help you order, let's eat. You look at it. Li Mu did not show any affectation upon seeing the situation. He even asked generously, does Zhang Yunxi know Anwani? Meng Lingbing glanced at Fang Yubai and replied, yes. Fang Yubai, who was standing beside her, said awkwardly, I have seen Zhang Yunxi a few times, and I think she is quite cultured and good-looking. According to Ling Bing, she is also considered clean and self-centered in school. I originally wanted to introduce her to you, so that you wouldn't stay in the martial arts school all day and get sick, but I didn't expect. It's okay. Li Nudao. In the future, when he achieves success and fame, he will talk to Jinggufeng and Anwani about it. As for other students at Hanyang University, he doesn't think he will have any interaction with them anymore. Naturally, emotional value will not be wasted on them. Li Mu. Fang Yubai. Are you also here? At this moment, a crisp voice came. Immediately after, I saw a coral wearing a ponytail and a red and white sportswear, looking youthful and beautiful, just like a student's outfit, walking over. There was also a woman next to her wearing a yellow dress with bangs and long hair flowing down her shoulders. The woman not only has delicate facial features, but also exudes a gentle temperament. Upon her arrival, it seems that the entire main hall has become a bit bright, and many customers in the store frequently glance at her. Yubai, please have a meal. Li Nu exclaimed. Table sharing, together. The coral is vast and square. Li Mu looked at Fang Yubai. Fang Yubai's gaze unconsciously turned to the woman in the yellow dress and said, of course, your friend. It's okay. Coral glanced at the woman and said, Ying. With so many people and excitement, we can order more dishes and taste more flavors without worrying about waste. How about that? Okay. The woman smiled slightly at Fang Yubai and Li Mu and said, "Excuse me. Don't disturb, please sit down." Fang Yubai hurriedly said. "My best friend Lu Yingying," said Coral as she pulled open a chair and introduced herself. Fang Yubai also introduced a few people. As soon as she sat down, Coral directly talked to Li Mu. "Li Mu, I see that your fist strength is much stronger than before. Has your qi and blood broken through 20? It's here. Li Nudao. You have improved too quickly, but you should have achieved this kind of achievement by practicing so hard. I have no choice but to put more effort into this job. You are very suitable for this road." Coral nodded in agreement. She saw this month's training in her eyes. Even though Li Ni picked up the martial arts she had previously lost, her growth rate was too fast. There is only one explanation. He himself is extremely talented. Next week will be the semi-annual martial arts qualification certificate assessment day. Can I pass the first level certificate or can I directly take the second level certificate? Take the second level exam directly. Li Nudao. If it's not that he can only skip one level of assessment at most, he still wants to take the level 3 certificate directly. That is to say, an intermediate professional title. But it doesn't matter. With his current progress, he will wait for another 6 months to directly take the vice senior professional title exam. But his words stunned Coral for a moment, and then he couldn't help but say, "I was joking." "Are you serious? Are you really taking the second level assistant martial arts title directly?" "Yes. Li Nudao. You." The Coral's original good mood suddenly disappeared. "Second level." Fang Yubai stared at Li Mu with wide eyes and said, "Is this the title of assistant martial artist at level 2? Well, isn't this to fulfill the contractual obligations signed by the curator earlier?" Li Mu smiled and said, "Tell me honestly, do you plan to take the intermediate professional title exam in 6 months? Coral stared at Li Mu. Who knows what will happen 6 months later? Li Nu waved her hand and said, "All right, the topic we're talking about may not be of interest to others, let's change it." "I'm interested." Lu Yingying blinked and said, "The second level professional title of a warrior is very valuable. You are so young that you can pass the second level. It's really impressive." Meng Lingbing also stared blankly at Li Mu, as if wanting to say something. "Thinking of the awkwardness just now, I feel a bit speechless." Li Nu shook her head. He doesn't feel that these topics have any continuing significance. His original intention in practicing martial arts has never been to pursue success and fame, but for himself, for the sake of the great desire for life, to break the limits of the human body, and to completely overcome illness, accidents, and natural disasters. The future he also wants to see how powerful humans can be, and where the end of life's cultivation lies. Others, such as money and status, are just incidental to this goal. There is the best. No, he wouldn't force too much either. At this moment, Shanhu suddenly said, "Master, I have recently discovered that the martial arts school industry is really profitable. It should expand the enrollment range. How about you come to the school?" "Me? Isn't Master Yang responsible for sitting in the restaurant?" After expanding enrollment, the martial arts school will be divided into inner and outer halls. The inner hall will be called disciple, while the outer hall will be called student. Master Yang will sit in the inner hall, and you will sit in the outer hall. Coral looked at Li Nu and looked up and down for a moment. A height of 1.78 meters almost, but it's just right for a warrior. The key is that his foundation is very good. If you hire a stylist to dress up well, spiritual, handsome, and sunny. The foreign students are mainly beginners. Even younger men and women. Who can refuse such a handsome and stylish curator with excellent mental and physical appearance, and possessing a second-level martial arts qualification certificate? End of this chapter. Chapter 6. Events. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 6 Events. The behavior style of Fang Guanzhu has set an example for me. He wants to continue walking on the path of martial arts and see higher scenery. I also have this idea. Li Mu responded with a smile. The road of martial arts. Coral looked at Li Mu with a daze and said, yes, you're only 20.2. The growth period of a warrior can last until 30 to 30.5, and you still have more than 10 years left. 22, if it were over 18. At this moment, Fang Yubai said with a mournful tone, second level. If you're only 18, you can definitely participate in the Jiangzhou martial arts competition in the youth group and win a place. If your place is high, you may even participate in the national competition, or even the world's first martial arts conference held by Tianyuan. Even with one round of travel, this qualification is enough to make you feel soft on your behalf and give lectures. Indeed, the current top-tier celebrity Shen Manjun comes from the youth group of the 14th Haizhou martial arts competition. She won the top 10 in the youth group, but because she was the only woman in the top 10 of the 14th competition, she was packaged by the operation company behind her as the first female warrior of that youth group. She gained 6 million fans that day and then won 14 endorsements in a month. In just 1 year, she made billions of dollars in gold. Coral nodded and finally added, it's gold. Billions of gold. The currency system of Taibai was once attacked by the Star Alliance and collapsed, with residents spending tens of thousands of yuan at any restaurant. Although the domestic currency is still in use, most people have already used the Tianyuan coin issued by the Tianyuan dynasty. The exchange rate between Tianyuan and Taibai coins is as high as 1.570, with extremely high currency values, also known as gold coins. This is not a big deal. Su Aojian, who comes from Jiangzhou, also made a name for himself in the 15th Jiangzhou martial arts competition and was directly drawn into the domestically renowned Changfeng martial arts school. He is now preparing for the National Congress, and his signing fee has reached 80 million yuan over 5 years. Fang Yubai envied. His family has money, but after 2 generations of hard work, they have accumulated several billion assets, which are mainly focused on industries. In cash, I can't even get out tens of millions. His monthly living expenses are only around 10,000 gold dollars. There's no way, I'm already 20.2. Li Nu shrugged her shoulders. Li Mu can join the youth group. I remember the age limit for the youth group is 30.6. Lu Yingying said. Yingying, you don't understand. Coral shook her head and said, the growth period of a warrior is between 30 and 35. In other words, a warrior will basically reach its peak between 35 and 40, and after more than a decade, it will begin to decline. In the youth group, it is a true battle of gods. Without practicing Dan power, there is no way for a warrior to stand out in the Jiangzhou competition. As she spoke, she lowered her voice slightly and said, the reason why my master hasn't come to the martial arts school much lately is because he's preparing for the 16th Jiangzhou martial arts competition. The 16th Jiangzhou martial arts competition. Li Mu also had some thoughts in her heart. This competition is held every 3 years. It is divided into state-level competitions, national competitions, and the world's first martial arts competition that encompasses the entire Tianyuan Federation. Each level of competition lasts for 1 month. Once the competition begins, it is a celebration for everyone across the country and even the entire federation. Especially during the finals, schools and various units will have special holidays for people to watch the matches. Wen has no first place, Wu has no second place. Do warriors want to be awarded the highest professional title? Martial Saint. The most direct way is to enter the national competition and win the championship. It is said that after the world's first martial arts competition, there is also a 10th Century King martial arts competition. And those contestants, without exception, have already broken the limits of the human body, with their bodies resistant to bullets and even able to suppress ordinary star refiners. However, this has little to do with the kingdom of Taibai. In the past 3 terms, the crown of the King of the Century has not fallen on the heads of the Tianyuan Federation. If the owner of Fangguan can stand out in the Jiangzhou competition, the reputation of Changfeng Martial Arts School will be completely destroyed. Li Nudao. Yes, when the time comes to apply for a Xinghua level martial arts school rating, if it passes, it will become a supported enterprise in the city, and the scale will definitely expand rapidly. It will not be difficult to have thousands or tens of thousands of students. Coral glanced at Li Mu and said, "How about it? Should we consider sitting in a restaurant again?" The reason why warriors hold such a noble position in society is that martial arts can assist star cultivators in their cultivation. Another factor is that many dangerous reconnaissance requires warriors who will not be detected by monsters. However, the most important thing for a warrior to grow is practical combat. Li Mu calmly said, "We spare no effort in organizing various competitions in China to increase the practical experience of warriors. Therefore, I also want to go and experience these competitions. Are you going to participate in this Jiangzhou competition?" Coral was shocked and said, "Although your second-level warrior's strength meets the registration criteria for the youth group, isn't it cannon fodder for a second-level warrior to go up? A state with a gathering of talents, which one can break into the top 10 is not a successful Dan power. Grades are not the key. As long as I can accumulate some practical experience and compete with a large number of skilled players in chemical energy, even the master of Dan energy, I will be satisfied." Li Nuzhong thought to herself. On Blue Star, such opportunities are too rare. And this world, once every 3 years. Every 3 years, one can engage in battles with masters of Dan power and Gang power, experiencing the wonders of Dan power and Gang power. It's exciting to think about it. I really don't know what kind of wonderful sound it will be when the Dan energy hits my body and shakes my bones to make a roar. For a moment, he couldn't help but show a hopeful smile on his face. "Lao Li, stay calm and don't be reckless." On the side, Fang Yubai hurriedly said, "Although every martial arts competition invites martial arts masters and star weapons to strategize everything, there is still a death penalty. I remember in the previous Jiangzhou competition, 3 were lost and 9 were disabled. Isn't this a total of only 12? Li Mu smiled and said, "Millions of people die in car accidents every year. Shouldn't we just stop driving? Besides, there's nothing that doesn't hurt a warrior." This. Fang Yubai didn't know what to say. Just increasing practical experience is not too dangerous, and with Li Ni's talent and growth speed, she may not be able to stand out in the Jiangzhou competition before the age of 36. Participating in the competition in advance can also be considered as accumulating experience in the future. Coral fully agrees. "I'll cheer for you then." Lu Yingying smiled at Li Nu and said. Li Nu nodded. At this point, the dishes were served and everyone ended the conversation. After finishing their meal, Li Mu and Coral went upstairs to the martial arts school, and Lu Yingying followed them. Fang Yubai continued to accompany her girlfriend shopping and watching movies. After walking for a while, Meng Lingbing suddenly asked, "Just now, Miss Coral said that Li Mu may not be able to stand out in the Jiangzhou competition before the age of 36, is that true? Even if there is an element of praise, I guess it's not much different." Fang Yubai said with some emotion, "To be honest, a month ago, my uncle said he was practicing hard, and I was startled. He was practicing hard, and after obtaining the martial arts certificate, his income in related industries will never be worse than that of previous graduates from Hanyang University. And today, he will directly take the second-level professional title exam. The Taibai Kingdom is better off. Located in the center of the Tianyuan Federation, except for Death Valley and Shadow Forest, there are no dangerous areas within the territory. Everyone lives in peace and comfort. Although they know that star refiners have a noble status, they can serve as supplementary and auxiliary warriors for star refiners. The advantage of identity has not been highlighted. And in countries with more terrifying and dangerous areas within and around their borders, almost every warrior, especially those willing to scout for star refiners, can enjoy heroic treatment. Some star refiners have great respect for them. The academic, entertainment, and even business circles are incomparable to the martial arts world. The title of assistant warrior is more useful than that of associate professor. Those who obtain the intermediate martial arts title can enjoy tax reduction, exemption policies, and even receive national subsidies. Your friend is really short-sighted. Just listening to some rumors, he missed such a great opportunity in vain. Fong Yubai sneered and said, "Wait, she will regret it in the future. I won't have any contact with her in the future." Meng Lingbing said immediately. "Don't, I still want to know how old Li will be stunned when she really becomes famous." Fong Yubai laughed and said, "There's no way. Your boyfriend is just such a tacky person." End of this chapter. Chapter 7. Endorsement. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 7. Endorsement. Sanglong Martial Arts Association. At the semi-annual martial arts assessment, it can be described as a sea of people. Although there are not many assessors, almost every assessor is accompanied by family and relatives. In addition, taking the exam only takes place once every 6 months, and there is only one exam center in the entire city of Zonglong. At this time, the Martial Arts Association is already surrounded tightly. "Lao Li, I'll take you here." A few hundred meters away from the Martial Arts Association, Fong Yubai had to stop her beloved car. "It's completely blocked and I can't walk anymore." "Thank you." Li Mu smiled and said. He didn't say anything and just came by bike. Fong Yubai's car ride-off is a kind of goodwill in interpersonal communication. "Come on, make sure it works. When the documents come down, take a photo of me and I'll post it on my social media." Fong Yubai said with a strong wave of his hand, "I haven't even passed the second-level certificate of the president of the Wudao Society at Hanyang University. I have a second-level martial arts brother, so I won't walk sideways at Hanyang University in the future." Li Nu waved her hand. "Then, follow the flow of people and head towards the Martial Arts Association without rushing or slowing down." Changfeng Qingyue, also known as the Martial Arts Association of Sanglong City, is a master of vigorous energy. "But after the Chinese New Year, my body is not as good as before, and I'm afraid it may not be as strong as some experts who have achieved great alchemy. The ones who really use it to support my appearance are a few vice presidents who hold pills." Li Mu is constantly learning from the internet about her elixir experience and utilizing her talent for insight for personal use. It is not so urgent to contact and seek advice from Dan Jean. At this moment, he instead looked back and forth with a mood of integrating into the flourishing martial arts world, nervously, eagerly, or confidently assessing the martial artists. Most of these people have already developed their strength, and some who have taken the second-level certificate have reached a level where their strength has gone from light to dark. There are probably hundreds of people bustling around. The lively scene of everyone practicing martial arts is unimaginable on the Blue Star. Following the flow of people, Li and I arrived at the examination room of the Martial Arts Association. The assessment of the martial arts qualification certificate is divided into written and current exams. Li and a group of dozens of colleagues entered an examination room with a computer and entered their identification documents. As soon as time comes, the exam begins. He answered based on the questions given above. The main obligations of warriors are to defend national interests and maintain regional peace, protect vulnerable groups, and assist in combating illegal infringement. Main rights and interests. Enjoy various preferential policies of the country, higher authority for emergency avoidance, and higher authority for self-defense. The martial arts competition, which involves disability, should be exempted from legal normal punishment regulations or lighter punishment. However, if it involves life and death combat, an application must be made to the Martial Arts Association in advance. Li Mu answered one by one. True or false? Martial artists and martial arts organizations follow equal retaliation. However, after obtaining permission from the Martial Arts Association to seek revenge, martial artist Zhang San immediately approached martial artist Li Si and killed him. The revenge was avenged, but the law sentenced him to intentional homicide and 10 years imprisonment. Is this sentence correct? Correct. Li Mu fills in the answer. Even with the permission of the Martial Arts Association, it takes 3 working days to apply for revenge. The other party can prepare within 3 days and has the right to invite any friends to assist in dealing with the battle of revenge. Sentenced to 10 years imprisonment within the scope of lighter punishment for martial arts competitions. True or false? In a conflict, civilian A held a sword and threatened warrior B, but did not take action. He was killed by warrior B by force. And was sentenced to intentional homicide by warrior B. Error. Warriors are also flesh and blood, and do not have the ability to withstand sword bullets. Civilian wielding swords can already pose a threat to the lives and safety of warriors. With the higher level of self-defense rights of warriors, top lawyers in this issue have at most ruled that the warrior's defense was inadequate. Li Mu is answering the question. Although he reviewed for half a month before the written exam and understood that martial artists in this world have higher authority than ordinary people, he still felt a bit outrageous when he saw these questions. Like this question. Warrior Zhang San owed civilian Li Si 1 million yuan and evaded debt for 3 years without returning. One day, Li Si discovered that Zhang San had returned home, gathered a group of civilians, and entered Zhang San's home without carrying weapons. Zhang San was killed and the law found Zhang San innocent. Because warriors and civilians are different. Although there is a reason for the incident, unless there are legal procedures, the warrior has unlimited counterattack rights against anyone who breaks into their home, including civilians. This is a law proposed by a disciple of a prominent figure in the past, who killed someone in a martial arts competition and was broken into his home while holding pills, causing him to become possessed by demons. It has been recognized by all martial artists. Warriors are indeed not subject to any interference during some cultivation passes. 50 minutes later, Li Mu finished answering the question. Can pass on the passing line. Next, queue up and wait for the second round of the current exam. The Martial Arts Association has a complete range of instruments. Qi and blood testing equipment, force measuring machines, reaction testing equipment, and so on. Li Mu passed all the rounds. Finally, he performed with a burst of dark energy and successfully completed the assessment. After the assessment ended, he waited at the certification office for less than an hour and successfully obtained the second-level warrior certificate. It's quite fast. Li Nu exclaimed. But that's also true. To some extent, the warriors have already separated from the common people, and the Martial Arts Association will naturally not treat them like the Taipei government department treats the common people, making them wait for 3 to 5 days for even a small matter. Put the certificate in her pocket, and Li Mu went to the nearby building to register for the Jiangzhou Martial Arts Competition as a warrior from Canglong City. This process was also very smooth and did not encounter any difficulties. Local governments need to do their best to support formal competitions such as the Jiangzhou Martial Arts Competition, which is vigorously promoted by the government. The more applicants there are, the more support can be seen above and below. And the staff wouldn't advise Li Mu to consider it carefully just because she is a second-level warrior. Perhaps the leaders above them all have indicators and will actively persuade those qualified warriors to participate. After easily registering, Li Mu walked outside the association where there was still a constant flow of people. Please wait, little brother. At this moment, a voice came from behind. Immediately after, a middle-aged and wealthy man quickly stepped forward and handed over his business card with a smile on his face. Little brother, I am Yuan Tai Lai from Homri Clothing. Excuse me for bothering you. Just now, when I received my martial arts certificate, I was paying attention to my little brother. Congratulations to you for completing the second-level martial arts assessment. Is there anything I need to do? Li Mu asked. In one sentence, Yuan Tailai seemed to understand Li Ni's temperament and quickly went straight to the topic. Young brother, who has achieved second-level martial arts at a young age, is truly young and promising. Also, I just saw the young brother come out of the martial arts competition registration office, but I plan to experience the excitement of the Jiangzhou martial arts competition. I have seen many contestants during this period, but young, handsome, and sunny people like my little brother are still very rare. Our Hongri Clothing is a local brand in Sanglong City, and we have been seeking to step out of the city and face the entire Jiangzhou. We need a brand spokesperson, and my character image meets our endorsement standards very well. Yuan Tailai smiled and said, so, as long as the young brother is willing to become our spokesperson, shoot an advertisement and some promotional photos, and then wear clothing with the Red Sun logo to the Jiangzhou martial arts competition, we are willing to bid 100,000 yuan. End of this chapter. Chapter 8. Try. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 8. Try. Li Mu was somewhat surprised by Yuan Tai's words. It can be associated with the atmosphere of this world, but it feels reasonable. Many famous warriors will use endorsements and advertisements. Li Mu, a second-level warrior, may not be outstanding in strength, but he cannot withstand his youth. In addition, thanks to the excellent genes of their parents, among the second-level warriors in Sanglong City there are really not many who can compare with him in this aspect. 100000, the pattern is too small. Li Nu smiled and said, do you think I'm going on a tour at the Jiangzhou martial arts competition? Yuan Tailai clearly thinks so. After all, Li Mu is so young and only a second-level warrior. Isn't going up there like cannon fodder? But naturally, this cannot be said. Of course not. It's mainly because our Red Sun clothing has limited funds reserved for endorsement and promotion. Meeting is fate. Li Mu has a sense of novelty in endorsing warriors in this world. On the Blue Star, martial artists belong to an unknown group. Even if their martial arts skills are mastered, their popularity and income cannot match those of a second-rate star. Now that he has obtained a level 2 martial arts certificate, someone is coming to his door. I suggest you listen and see. Li Mu chuckled and said, I won't shoot the advertising video anymore. During the Jiangzhou competition, I authorize you to use my portrait rights for promoting Red Sun clothing, which costs only 50,000 yuan. However, if I enter the second round and the price increases to 100,000 yuan, if I can make it to the top 10, 1 million yuan is not enough, right? Top 10. Yuan Tailai was slightly stunned. If I read it correctly, on the ID card number displayed on the marker. You are 22 this year. You can only join the youth group, right? You are a second-level warrior. Make it to the top 10. Do you really think that those energy transforming masters and alchemy masters from others eat dry rice? Yes, there's a problem. Li Nudao. Yuan Tailai was immediately speechless. Seeing this, Li Mu smiled and turned around to leave. He just felt that the endorsement was a bit novel, and Yuan Tai came to find him by chance, so he said one more thing to him. Now it seems that there is no trust-based cooperation between the two sides, and it is difficult for the strong to succeed. It's also a waste of time. But at this moment, Yuan Tailai reacted. He originally planned to hire Li Mu to endorse him for 100,000 yuan. Although he is unwilling to shoot advertisements and only allows him to use the portrait rights during the Jiangzhou competition for promotion, the second round and the first round of the game have completely different properties. The former can only be said to be a contestant in the Jiangzhou martial arts competition, while the latter isn't it too much for him to add the title of winner of the Jiangzhou martial arts competition. Besides, after one round of swimming, isn't it only 50,000 yuan? 50,000, he can afford to lose. Wait, little brother, as you said, I'll sign. Yuan Tailai quickly caught up and said, I'll still give you 100,000 yuan. If you can make it to the second round, we'll give you 200,000 yuan. If you can make it to the top 10, 3 million yuan, but I hope to sign for 1 year. Don't you just want the popularity during the Jiangzhou competition? Li Mu is a bit strange. He, even without the Jiangzhou martial arts competition, I think we can have a long-term cooperation. Yuan Tailai smiled and said, if there's no problem, we'll find a place to sign the contract. There is a problem. Li said, just as I said earlier, but I won't sign for a year. Yuan Tailai was taken aback and said, why? Li Mu smiled and said, what if I still have to go to the national competition? Yuan Tailai was directly fooled by his words and didn't know how to respond. If there is a relatively small probability that some experienced and skilled martial arts masters will stand out in the top 10 of the Jiangzhou martial arts competition, then the national competition you haven't developed your Dan power, I'm afraid you don't even qualify for an invitation letter. The youth and youth groups of the national martial arts competition are both invitation-based. Participants are selected from the top 5 or even the top 3 in each state, and only the adult group implements the registration system. However, the minimum registration standard is to have a deputy senior professional title, which means practicing Dan strength. When Yuan Tai came to this, he seemed to realize that the young man must also know the information he knew. Suddenly, his voice stopped. After a while, he finally made a decision. I'll sign it, and it's based on 100,000 or 200,000 yuan. Not only that, if you can make it to the top 10 in the Jiangzhou competition, I'll give you 2 million yuan. I just hope you can participate in the ribbon cutting when our Jiangzhou flagship store opens. After a moment of contemplation, Li Mu nodded slightly and said, sure. He did find it very novel and planned to experience these processes. Unless there are special circumstances in the future, there should be no more endorsements. At present, Li Mu called Coral with her phone. When he and Yuan Tailai, as well as the legal staff subsequently called by Yuan Tailai, were in a CAFA to draft the contract, Coral hurriedly arrived with a middle-aged man. This is the legal cooperation of our Changfeng martial arts school. Coral spoke and couldn't help but look at Li Mu for a moment. Sure, just use an endorsement. It seems like you passed the exam. Well, it's just a portrait authorization. Li Nu said, turning to the middle-aged man and saying, thank you. Did you really pass? The legendary martial arts genius, was that how I met him, murmured Coral. The middle-aged man had a conversation with the legal staff brought by Yuan Tailai and made some modifications to the details before nodding to Coral and Li Mu. Li Nu saw this and came back to the table. Coral took the opportunity to take a glance and immediately exclaimed, good guy, the top 10 in the Jiangzhou martial arts competition. Are you so wild in your heart? There are still 6 months left, give it a try. Li Mu smiled and said. Give it a try. Coral looked at Li Nu with a somewhat complicated expression in her eyes. She felt that she was becoming increasingly unable to understand this person. At the beginning, when Fang Yubai tried to push Li Nu to the master's door through the back door, she still had the intention to knock. After being defeated by Li Mu, we will finally face him squarely. In the following month, Li's growth was evident to all. Although according to him, he picked up the martial arts he had previously lost bit by bit and made rapid progress, she still felt a bit uncomfortable looking at it. Now that you have obtained the Level 2 Martial Arts Qualification Certificate, you dare to sign the top 10 contracts for the Jiangzhou Martial Arts competition with others. You should know that her master is not 100% sure if she can enter the top 10 of the Jiangzhou Martial Arts competition. Even if Li Mu only said and tried, she still demonstrated unparalleled courage and confidence in her words and actions. At least if it were her, even if she had obtained the Level 2 Martial Arts Certificate, she would definitely not have the courage to sign up for the Jiangzhou Martial Arts competition, let alone look forward to the top 10. What level of training did you reach before? The coral couldn't help but ask, didn't it already go from light to dark at that time? Li Mu smiled but did not answer. He doesn't want to lie. But sometimes speaking the truth is more heart-wrenching than lying. Coral is a good girl, let her slowly figure it out on her own. He checked the contract again and signed his name on it. Happy cooperation. Yuan Tailai stood up and shook hands with Li Ni, saying, the first signing deposit of 50,000 yuan will be credited to your card no later than tomorrow. Thank you. Li Nu nodded. The signing fee of 50,000 yuan was negotiated by the legal department on his behalf. It's better to keep money in your bag. Moreover, with the money, buying some qi and blood medicine to nourish him can shorten the time it takes for him to recover to the peak of his physical strength. Split it into 3 chapters, will it appear more updated? End of this chapter. Chapter 9. Attitudes. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 9. Attitudes. Changfeng Martial Arts School. Li Mu quickly developed a set of punches. My whole body is full of qi and blood, like an oven, scorching hot. If someone gives him a thermometer at this time, they will find that his body temperature is definitely above 45 degrees. After a while, after finishing his boxing, he heaved his chest and let out a long breath. A large amount of sweat began to dissipate from him, quickly wetting his clothes. However, Li Mu ignored it and quietly sensed the changes in her own qi and blood. In a moment, he had already converted the data. 0.02 absorbing a large amount of elixir and vigorous energy videos, and utilizing the insight talent to continuously fine-tune modify. 1 round of practice at the mysterious female gate can already increase the strength of qi and blood by 0.02. After 6 rounds a day, it's 0.12. At this point it was already 3 days after he obtained the second-level warrior qualification certificate. His qi, blood, and physique have also increased to 23. Improved several points in a month. However, the improvement of qi, blood, and physique is greater in the early stage than in the later stage. The further you go, the more difficult it becomes. Practitioners of martial arts have a qi and blood range of 20 to 30, while Dan Jin masters, Gang Jin masters, and even some refining gods and martial saints have qi and blood within the range of 30 to 40. Unless born with divine power or taking natural materials and treasures, even a martial saint would find it difficult to increase their qi, blood, and stamina to over 40. The first part of the innate qi nourishing technique is to nourish qi, enhance one's own vitality, and have the effect of vitality and physical fitness. The second part is to build a foundation, which shapes and strengthens the practitioner's foundation from the foundation. With the help of insight talent, I may delve deeper into the physical potential, achieving the effect of being similar to those with innate divine power. There will be a 3rd chapter in the future, the Golden Elixir chapter. It's not the realm of the golden elixir that cultivators possess, but rather the ability to infuse their entire body with vitality, like a great elixir of the human body, preventing diseases and prolonging life. In his previous life, he was directly stuck in the level of life energy, and couldn't find where his own life energy was. At this time, relying on his innate talent, he found his vital energy on the first day of practicing innate qi refining. The next step is to gradually enhance and warm it up. This is also the core of the qi nourishing chapter. Li Mu, your package has arrived, I have brought it for you. At this moment, the sound of the coral came from outside. I've bought a lot of things lately. Thank you. Li Mu took the box handed by Coral. The medicinal herbs you bought. You've improved so quickly, shouldn't you just be taking these miraculous pills? Coral looked at the shipping address above and said. Give it a try and see what medicinal herbs are beneficial for cultivation. Li Nudao. He had some understanding of medicinal herbs in his past life. But the knowledge from those periods comes from books, and now Carrie has an extra 50,000 yuan, and he plans to use the spirit of Shenong to taste 100 herbs and use his talent to select the most suitable medicinal herbs for his own needs to purchase nourishment. Nowadays, with the development of artificial breeding industry, buying medicinal herbs online may not necessarily be genuine, nor can you buy precious ones. If you really want to buy good medicinal herbs, look for Ying. Her family has a traditional Chinese medicine store that has been passed down for a century, with guaranteed quality. Whenever my master needs any medicine, he always goes to her pharmacy. Coral said with some regret, if it weren't for her grandfather's stubbornness and unwillingness to expand his business into a chain brand, our family now has hundreds or even millions of dollars. If she were lucky enough to become a brand, she would definitely be a little rich woman. Li Mu felt that she had something to say, but the news still had some effect on him. What store? I'll go and take a look then. Choosing a day is better than colliding with it is better than today. I'll call Ying to take you there. It's better to be cheap than others. Coral spoke and made a phone call directly. Her phone call was never made in time. Fong Lingjue has arrived. He obviously came because of Li Mu. Listen to Su Huan, have you obtained the level 2 certificate? Got it. Li Mu smiled and said, the curator is planning to exchange the contract for me. Yes. Fong Lingjue nodded and said, but it's not the one before. Follow me. As he spoke, he took Li Mu to the office and instructed Coral, let Xiao Su bring my LV Shan Yunwu. Okay. Coral nodded. Tea culture has been passed down from the great business world, with the effect of calming the mind. It is deeply loved by both martial artists and star cultivators. The price of high-quality tea is even higher than that of some delicacies. Did you sign up for the Jiangzhou martial arts competition? In the office, Fong Lingjue asked directly. Yes, accumulate some combat experience. Li Nudao. I'm afraid it's not that simple. Fong Lingjue looked at Li Mu and said seriously, to be honest, what level did you practice before? Did you go from light to dark, or did you use your strength? My situation is a bit special. Li Nudao. The rebirth of the soul is difficult to explain in a transcendent world. Fong Lingjue looked at Li Mu. But seeing his calm expression and silence, he sighed and said, I understand. I will move out of the apartment tomorrow. Li Nudao. You kid. Fong Lingjue chuckled and rebuked, in your eyes, I am such a person with no tolerance for others. Even if you have truly developed your strength, what would happen? I am a Dan Power martial artist, and I'm afraid you won't be able to dominate. Besides, there are experts sitting in my martial arts school, and I can't be happy enough to rush out. Unless you feel uncomfortable staying here and don't want to stay any longer. I quite like the atmosphere of Changfeng Martial Arts School. Li Nudao. Although he led a few students, all of whom were from wealthy families, he was not a playboy, but rather quite cultured and polite to him. Work is easy. Coral, Su Huan, and Zhang Lu were also very friendly with him. Moreover, when he was somewhat impoverished, Fong Lingjue provided him with his first job, and Li Mu did not want this to cause a rift in their relationship. No matter whether your strength has been transformed or you have gone from light to dark before, you can see that your talent is amazing. In addition, you have chosen to participate in the Jiangzhou martial arts competition. It seems that you really plan to continue on the path of martial arts. It's a waste of your time to have you lead the students. Fong Lingjue said, did Shanhu tell you that I want to expand my business? Li Nu nodded. Half a year later, on May 1st of next year, the 16th National Martial Arts Competition will be held in various states. It has been 5 years since I developed my Dan strength. The last time I participated in the competition in Haizhou, if it weren't for my bad luck and encountering seeded players, I would have made it to the top 10. After 3 years of honing, this time I participated in the competition in Jiangzhou, and I dare not say that I am confident in the top 10. I still have a good chance. Fong Lingjue said with great courage, if it weren't for my age, in the future, I would still want to compete in the national competition. The owner of the pavilion can participate from the adult group. The adult group. Let's talk about it next time. Fong Lingjue's arrogance lasted for a few seconds, turning into a sigh of emotion. The Fong family's business is not small. Together with his father and brothers, Xiao Bai and I still have assets worth 5 to 6 billion yuan. Therefore, I think I am a good money owner. When someone sends younger generations to practice martial arts under my sect, I refuse it in my heart. But these grandsons are really willing to spend money. He looked at Li Mu and said, "Do you know that in order to prevent them from forcing me to personally teach their offspring and waste my martial arts training time, I offered a lesson fee of 10,000 yuan per lesson. Several people bought 100 lessons directly, do you believe that? In less than 2 months, I have sold almost 2,000 lessons." Li Mu was somewhat surprised. "Master Dan Jin, is it profitable like this? 2,000 lessons. 20 million. 2,000 lessons may not necessarily require 1.1 teaching, and if we expand the scale, the income of the Changfeng martial arts school alone would be equivalent to the profits of the entire Fong family's dozen or so companies." Fong Lingjue said, "In the past, I sneered at the behavior of those Dan Jin masters posting courses online to recruit disciples, which almost disgraced our Dan Jin masters. Now." Li Mu nodded in understanding. "Can warriors have this kind of income? It's hard to imagine in Blue Star. Do you mean to let me sit in the museum? I am confident that you will participate in the Jiangzhou martial arts competition and have the courage to sign the top 10 bets in Jiangzhou. I am certain that in 6 months, you will likely become more competitive. So, I have 2 options here." Fong Lingjue said seriously, "The first option is to invite you to invest and become a member of Changfeng Martial Arts School. After the expansion of Changfeng Martial Arts School, the total investment will not be less than 60 million yuan. I don't want any investment from you. Just you, I will give you 5% of the shares. In the future, you can cultivate Dan power and further increase your equity." As he spoke, he was paying attention to the changes in Li Mu's expression, but when he saw that his emotions did not fluctuate much, he felt a bit strange in his heart. However, he still said, "The second type is what Coral said, sitting in a restaurant." He paused and said, "After the Jiangzhou martial arts competition is over, based on my final results, we will open 3 to 5 more stores. You can choose one, without teaching disciples, and be responsible for serving as the storefront of the branch. The annual salary is set at 1 million yuan. What do you think?" End of this chapter. Chapter 10. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 10. Master Fong really values me. Li Mu said sincerely. The 2 conditions proposed by Fong Lingjue are both very sincere. If he doesn't have talent, this is already the best destination. Looking too pale, earning 1 million a year can be described as 1 out of 10,000. This still includes various equity dividends and the situation of individual business owners. I remember the first time I met the owner, you said that you had the intention to see the master and even the martial saint style. Li Nu looked at Fong Lingjue and said, "Although our goals are not exactly the same, they are also similar." I understand. Fong Lingjue felt a bit regretful. If we can really attract Li Nu to invest with 5% or 10% of the shares and keep him in the Changfeng Martial Arts School, more than a decade later, it is highly likely that he will become a powerful figure. What kind of gimmick is this when there are 2 great martial arts masters in a martial arts school? If he can further advance on the Danjin road, it is not a luxury to make Changfeng Martial Arts School the #1 martial arts school in Sanglong City in the future. So please sit in the gym. You just need to face some challengers that ordinary coaches cannot handle, and it won't delay your cultivation. Fong Lingjue Dao. Okay, but let's sign for 1 year first. Li Nu Dao. The 16th Jiangzhou Martial Arts Competition is still half a year away, and the competition will last for a total of 3 months. They are state-level competitions, national competitions, and the world's first martial arts competition organized by the Tianyuan Federation. 1 year later, he basically figured out the limits of his talent and set his own path for the future. The probability of staying in Sanglong City is not high. Sure. Fong Lingjue nodded and said, you should still sprint on the martial arts path in the next 6 months, right? I'll send you a signing fee of 1 million first. Pay in advance. Li Mu glanced at Fong Lingjue. Fong Lingjue also responded with a smile. Li Mu understood his kindness and didn't ask, you're not afraid I'll run away with the money? She also smiled and agreed, this 1 million is really important to me, thank you. Your words are enough. Fong Lingjue said, it's December 25, 1993 in the Star God calendar. It's almost the Star Festival. The martial arts school is on vacation for a week. Are you going back or staying in Sanglong City? I'll ask Manager Su to give you a key to the martial arts school later. It's more convenient to practice in the martial arts school with complete facilities and equipment. I should go back. Li Nudao. After the turbulent era came to an end, people set the first time they saw the Star God as the first year of the Star God calendar. As that day happened to be January 1st, this time of the year was designated as the Star Advent Festival, which is the most important festival in all countries around the world. All companies and units will take a break of 3 to 7 days during this period to celebrate the beginning of a new era. Li Mu doesn't want to go back, but 2 months ago, that kind of thing happened. Li's mother and Li Yunyan didn't come to Zanlong City to disturb him, and they were already extremely respectful of his emotions. If he doesn't go back again, ding-ling-ling. A bell rang. He glanced at the caller ID on his phone. Li Yunyao. Go pick up the phone. I'm waiting for you to make a big splash at the Jiangzhou martial arts competition. Fong Lingjue smiled and said. Li nodded and left the office to answer the phone. Brother, I'm bringing my friends to play in Sanglong City. You're the host here, you can't ignore me. Where is it? Just got off the train, where are you? I'll take a taxi over. I'll go pick you up. Li Nudao. Don't, I'll just take a taxi myself. You come pick me up once, it's a waste of time. Li Yunyao hurriedly said. That's okay. Li Mu felt that since he had accepted this identity, as a brother and sister, there was no need for him to be so hypocritical and polite. Let's make an appointment to meet at the east gate of the Starlight Center. Wow, are you planning to bleed heavily to entertain us? Don't worry, I won't be hungry for you. Li Mu smiled and said. His parents died of illness when he was 6 years old in his previous life, and no brother or sisters has ever said anything about it. Now, with his identity taken over, this feeling is not bad either. Hang up the phone, Li Mu is about to leave. Li Mu, continue. At this moment, a voice came. Immediately afterwards, Fong Lingjue threw a car key over. Fong Lingjue smiled and said, the area of Sanglong City is not small. It's not convenient to play with friends without a car. The car is parked at the exit of the underground parking lot. Thank you. Li Nu exclaimed. Go ahead, go ahead. Fong Lingjue waved his hand. When Li Mu left, he thought of something and quickly called Manager Su to give her a copy of the approved procedures. Li Mu's account, go to the bank, transfer the money as soon as possible, use the express channel, and try to arrive before dark. Manager Su was somewhat surprised and said, 1 million. Then she hesitated and said, will Master Yang have any objections? Li Mu is different from Lao Yang. Fong Lingjue said, I will tell Lao Yang. Manager Su nodded and quickly went to handle it. On the other hand, Li Ni did not drive and went directly to the Starlight Center. After waiting for less than half an hour, Li Yunyao walked over quickly, with slightly curled long hair, wearing a purple hoodie, and 2 rabbit ears on her hat. The white casual pants perfectly showcase her slender legs. Full of youthful and sunny atmosphere. Plus, their family's unique genes, she is like a lively girl walking out of a painting. Brother. Li Yunyao greeted him and then turned around in surprise, looking up and down for a while. Little dear, how are you doing? I'll tell you, my brother has become even more handsome, right? Next to Li Yunyao, Lin Xiaolu, who had been playing with her since childhood, was a little hesitant to look at Li Mu, but just let out a Let's go, it's rare to come to Canglong City. What you like? First, I'll take you to the rooftop of the Starlight Center to take a card, take a few photos, and then take you to Yunxia Ancient Street to have some snacks. Of course, you can eat if you want. Snacks. Li Yunyao immediately answered, I want to eat all the delicious food in Yunxia Ancient Street, even if it grows 3 pounds. Let's go then. Li Nudao. Li Yunyao nodded vigorously and couldn't help but glance at Li Nu. Brother, you have really changed a lot. I still don't feel it in the video, but seeing your real person right now. Feels like your energy and spirit. It's like a different person. Li Mu also gave a reason to respond to the opponent's jade white, saying, after experiencing life and death, one must understand something. Additionally, I have recently started practicing martial arts again, and my spirit will naturally change. Li Yunyao breathed a slight sigh of relief when she saw that Li Nu could naturally discuss this topic with her. She knew that he had really come out of public opinion violence. Looking at Li Mu, who has become more sunny, energetic, and confident compared to her previous introverted and silent demeanor, she smiled with 2 cute dimples on her face. In my heart, I silently said a sentence. That's great. End of this chapter.